So we as the NATO team have had a couple bits of narrative going around. Not only is Hezbollah not completely in control of Lebanon, we need to dismantle that idea that we are directly supporting terror. But even if we grant the affirmative team the benefit of the doubt that is the case, they offer no practical advantage and create much more disadvantages on the other end. So what I'd like to do is address the responses brought up in the 2AC, starting with their responses to my initial disadvantages. My original disadvantages were that American troops are harmed, strategic influence is lost, and innocents are punished. And the first response about how American troops are harmed is that they are ending military assistance through their plan, and that theoretically that involves removing troops. My response is not according to the mandate. Now, if we look at the mandate that they provided in their 1AC, they said, quote, until the Secretary of State can verify that the Lebanese government are no longer under Hezbollah control and are in full compliance with the UN resolution, the United States federal government will immediately cease providing any and all foreign and military aid. Now, nothing under this mandate describes the military, and just describes the military activities currently taking place, and does not describe how they're going to be removing the military from this region under this mandate. This is simply something they came up with out of thin air, and they cannot provide for how this disadvantage would not stand. American troops would be harmed if we remove military aid, but not troops. The second disadvantage they responded to was strategic influence loss, and they said that we have other partners, and that we've already lost a significant amount of influence, and that it's non-unique, and we'd be losing influence anyway. Now, my response to all of these points is that it's a non-response. None of these points change the fact that what the plan would be doing is removing access to the Mediterranean. The affirmative can debate the level to which we are doing this all day, but that doesn't change the fact that we are losing strategic influence, no matter how much influence we have. Even if other countries already have influence, and even if we have other partners, it doesn't change the fact that that's what we'd be doing through the plan. We'd be losing strategic influence. The third disadvantage was that innocents are punished, and they responded by saying that Hezbollah uses humanitarian aid poorly, and because of that, humanitarian aid is corrupt as well. Now, the evidence they used for this stated essentially that Hezbollah can use the ministry's fund to benefit its own services. They talked about how their control of the public health services creates that. Nothing in this piece of evidence explains how this cripples humanitarian aid, or how it relates to humanitarian aid, or how it means the humanitarian aid we're sending isn't being used, and that this disadvantage wouldn't stand. Because they haven't really shown how the health services control humanitarian aid, and how it is used, and how Hezbollah uses that aid, it still stands to reason that by cutting off humanitarian aid under the plan, we would be harming the people of Lebanon, because the affirmative team has failed to provide a concrete way that Hezbollah controls this humanitarian aid that is going in. Now, the next point they brought up was that Hezbollah controls the government, and they talked about the majority in parliament. Now, they said that Hezbollah has a majority in parliament. However, my first response is contradictory evidence. Now, they brought up some that said they have 70 out of 128 seats. Sorry, we have evidence saying that we have 68 out of 128 seats. The evidence is contradictory. Furthermore, neither of those pieces of evidence have a 2/3 majority. Second response is 2/3 majority needed. As we brought up in my very first speech, Hezbollah and in the parliamentary system, you need a 2/3 majority in Lebanon to be able to make major policy decisions. Even if you take their evidence of 70 out of 128, that is not 2/3. That does not control the government. And so that doesn't change the fact that Hezbollah does not control the Lebanese parliament. Further, when they talked about the cabinet, that doesn't. They never provided examples about how the cabinet has significantly affected Lebanese policy in the past, and so we failed to see that proven. Now, we go back to the point of what we're trying to accomplish through this debate round. We go back to the goal of the affirmative team. Now, they're saying that we shouldn't fund our enemies. And going back to that basic principle, as I opened up in my very first speech, that makes a lot of sense at first. And so I can't fault the affirmative team for trying to attempt this goal. However, there are many more things at stake than this. Not only as my partner demonstrated in our last speech, the idea that the affirmative team is presenting is that we are supposedly supporting counterterror, but that's not actually the case. Except what my partner spent a large amount of her last speech demonstrating is that the effective counterterrorism efforts we have with the LAF that have been relevant as recently as this year have been incredibly important and effective. And that we have end-use monitoring in place to make that counterterrorism effective and make sure that the weapons and the military aid we're sending are not being used for bad means. So when we look at what the affirmative team's plan actually does, not only does it harm American troops, lose strategic influence, and punish the innocents of Lebanon who have nothing to do with this, but it also hampers, it ruins the counterterrorism efforts we have had with the LAF for decades. So when we ask the question of whether we pass the affirmative team's plan, we shouldn't ask whether it feels good. We should ask whether it's justified.